Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm your girl Destiny, and today we are here to talk about Storytime Part 2 of when I was homeless in high school. First and foremost, I want to tell everyone that has reached out to me, send me loves and all kinds of words of encouragement. Thank you. It means everything to me. I have friends that weren't aware of things that I was going through in high school, before high school, that I was very close to. It's been a shocker to them. I want to say thank you to my teachers and counselors that have reached out as well. Everyone, thank you so much for the support, and everyone that is watching my content as well, thank you for the support. If you have not done so already, make sure you subscribe down below. It takes just a second to sign in and to make sure you subscribe, and it is free, everybody. It is free, okay? So thank you guys for the support. Now for my family, I appreciate the support as well. You know, it's been kind of mixed, where I've had some family members upset that I am telling the story, but I need them to understand at the end of the day that transparency is freedom for me. It's helping people understand like why I am the way that I am. I definitely I wouldn't change it for the world, because it made me into the person that I am today. It made me appreciate everything that I have today. It humbled me so much. So I don't ever want anyone to feel like I'm bashing my family, like I'm trying to out my family or anything like that. I'm just telling my story and my testimony, because at the end of the day, there probably are other people that have dealt with situations like that as well in life. So that's all I'm trying to do here. And at the end of the day as well, I want my viewers to know me completely. So I just feel like being transparent is the way to do that. Now, part one really was just a backstory of me leading up to living in New Albany. We lived in New Albany for about 6 months, my 8th grade year. But when I moved back to New Albany for high school is when things really started to spiral, okay? So at the end of the day, that's really where the story really starts. Now, I've already moved about 5 or 6 times, even prior to moving to New Albany, to the housing authority that we lived in. But this is kind of where it really starts. So we lived in Beechwood in New Albany, Indiana. We got there. So I started school after Christmas break of my freshman year. So I'm starting high school like halfway into freshman year at another school. So this is my 3rd school already as a freshman, and we're only halfway through the school year, okay? So just so you can understand that it's always been hard for me to put down a foundation with even friend groups sometimes, because I was always here and there. But on the bright side, this time, by me moving back to New Albany, I already had a couple of friends from where I went to school in middle school at Hazelwood Middle School. So that was the good part. It wasn't like I didn't know anyone. And on top of that, during Christmas break, where I lived at, there were kids that lived there. So I got to meet people that lived in my neighborhood. So I knew I wouldn't be alone going into high school. So that definitely, you know, lifted a lot of weight off my shoulders, okay? So we lived there from my freshman year until about it was my junior year, the beginning of my junior year, something like that. And throughout that time, it was pretty stable. Like we you know, I didn't have to deal with, you know, lights being turned off or anything, no water being turned off or anything like that. But it was an adjustment, because we were starting all over, like furniture wise. It's like we didn't have anything. We didn't really have much of anything. But luckily for places like the Salvation Army, you know, they definitely helped us out a lot and donated a lot of furniture. Like, I definitely want to make sure that I acknowledge that, because the Salvation Army, they help a lot of families out here. And honestly, I really would like to volunteer there sometimes, because if it weren't for them, I wouldn't have had a lot of things that I had growing up. You know, they donate money to families, furniture, like a lot of things, help with bills. Whenever I got my first apartment, they helped me with my deposit. We'll talk about that later. But, you know, so thank goodness for places like that. But so that was like our only adjustment then. Now my parents were having marital issues still then as well. So it was pretty dysfunctional in the household. And that was very interesting. But outside of that, I feel like it was pretty cool. Like it was all right for about that year, about 2 years, okay? Now, my parents, you know, got to the point where they were like, okay, you know, I want better for us, for the family, you know, let's go move out of here and get a house, which was a great notion. Like, I understood what they were trying to do. You know, they always wanted better for us. And we moved into a house. It was right up the street from New Albany High School and Hazelwood Middle School. And I remember being upset about it because I'm like, oh my gosh, like, we've been stable for 2 years, you know, we only pay like less than $100 a month on rent. We're about to move into a house where it's $900 a month for rent, and I'm scared and paranoid. Like, I'm happy that we're, you know, moving to a house or whatever, but I still was just like, why are we doing that? That's not smart, you know. And there's a lot of things I didn't understand at that time. Being a junior, I'm probably 16, 17, so I don't know everything, of course, but I just know that I was scared that we were going to be right back into the situation that we were in before. So we went to go move to that house, and it was a nice house. It really was. It had an upstairs, downstairs. The basement was huge. I just remember having a laundry chute, like, and that was like the most amazing thing to me. It had 2 living rooms. It was a nice house. It was very homey. I could walk to school, so I could literally get up at like 7 o'clock in the morning and walk to school at the last minute. You know, it was nice. But it was a very good house. I loved the house, but I didn't like what I felt like was coming with the house. Okay. So my junior year also is when I didn't meet X. I met X when I first moved to New Albany in middle school, but we didn't become like close really until sophomore year of New Albany. People, X, if you're not familiar with who X is, go back and watch my previous story time. But X is the guy that I was with for 9 years. We got together in high school. We started dating junior year, and we were together for 9 years. So we just we broke up 2.5 years ago. Okay. All right. So, I got with him my junior year. It was a lot going on. I got my first job. I was working at Target with one of my friends. So it was nice to, you know, have my own little money. I was really excited about that, because it was like, I didn't have to worry about, you know, not having any money to eat food, or if I wanted to buy myself clothes. You know, you start caring about stuff like that once you reach a certain age and everything. But so yeah, my junior year, it was going okay, but we were there for about 6 months, which, when I really think about it, it was always 6 months that we were at a place outside of the housing authority. We were always somewhere for 6 months for whatever reason. But we were there for about 6 months, and then I remember in about February and March, my landlord left a letter on our door, and she was coming out to the house all the time, and I was always the person that was there, and we were supposed to not answer the door. But that day, you know, she left a note on the door, and I ain't got the note because I'm rebellious. It was none of my business, you know. I'm gonna make that real clear. But I'm like, here we go again. I just knew it, you guys. Okay, I just knew it. So I opened the letter, and it was basically saying that we had to be out in like a month, something like that. Okay. So my parents, I remember I already knew about it, but I never said anything. I remember them sitting us down and telling us, you know, we were going to have to move, and we were trying to figure out where everyone was going to go. Okay. So I remember at that point in time, me and my sister were very close, and I was like, oh, well, I'm going to go live with her. Like, you know, I'm going to go live with my sister. And I believe my little brother went to live with my older brother Rick, and then my parents were kind of doing their own thing, from what I understand. I don't know, but we all got separated. So it's about April at this point, whenever we finally got kicked out. So in April, the school year's almost over. So my sister lived in Louisville, so and I had a job at the time. So what we would do is, she would take me to school in the morning. I would go to school. I would catch the school bus home with X to his house, and I would go to his house until I had to go to work. So we'd get home about 3:30, and then I would go to work at 4 o'clock, stay at work until about 10 p.m. at McDonald's, and then my sister would pick me up from work, and then we would do that until the school year ended. Okay. Now, I really loved my job for a number of reasons. A, because we got paid every Wednesday. Every Wednesday we got paid. So it was like, you know what I'm saying? I had money coming in every Wednesday. I could splurge on myself. I could buy my own food if I needed to. I used to catch the bus, the TARC everywhere. That was my way of getting around, so I didn't have to ask anybody. But so I enjoyed having my job. And because B, you get free food, you get free meals when you work at McDonald's. So when I tell y'all, I gained a good 15 pounds just that first month of working at McDonald's alone, because I'm like, well, you get free meals every time you work. I'm going to work every day. Like, you know, like it was everything for me. And I was a lot smaller back in high school. So that 15 pounds, you know, it looked good on me then, you know. I was like, okay. But anyway, so we did that until the school year ended. My sister would take me to work every day. So in school, pick me up, take me to school, pick me up from work every day. But then it got to a point where when I was living with my sister, she was living with her boyfriend, and I'm not gonna go in depth, but they kind of have issues of their own. And I think looking back on it, it probably was a lot for them to have to bring me in. You know, that wasn't their burden, you know, to have to, you know, take another person into their household or whatever. And I think that may have caused tension in their relationship. I could be wrong. I've never really asked, but I just remember me and my sister went to go live somewhere else. And it got to a point where my sister, she, you know, was like, I'm sorry, I gotta focus on myself right now. She got her own kids to worry about. You know, she was like, you're gonna have to go live with our brother Rick. And for a long time, I was very upset with her for that. Like, it really hurt my feelings, because I'm just like, you know, it's not my fault that I'm in this situation. It's not my fault that, you know, I'm homeless, like, you know. And I'm just thinking like what am I gonna do? Like, you know, I was really upset, and that hurt me for a long time, you know. But it was like, you know, now that I'm older, once again, I understand a lot more, because I've had to do the same for my little brother, you know, or anyone that may have needed to live with me. So I understand more now. But so I went to live with my older brother Rick, and he had his own family. So he had a wife at the time, no, fiance. They were about to get married in like a couple months. So, and they had their own daughter. So they had a 2-bedroom townhouse, and we were deep in that apartment. Like, it was me, my brother Rick, his wife, his daughter, my brother Jamal, my other 2 brothers, Brandon and Dexter, who were home from school or something, you know, at the time. So it was 7 of us staying in that apartment, okay? And my parents, who would come every now and then, you know, and stay or just whatever. It was a lot of us, okay? It was a lot going on. So my way of trying to stay out of the way, like, it was a lot. Like, I would literally, cause at this point it's the summertime. So I finished out the school year with my sister. When the summertime hit is when I went to go live with my brother, okay? So I would wake up at like 7 in the morning. I would catch the first TARC, and I would go to X's house. That was my boyfriend at the time, okay? And then I would go to work at about 8 or 9, something like that. Go to work. I would stay at work until they kicked me out, y'all. Like, I think that's why I became a manager so early, because at this point I'm about 17, you know, so I'm working like crazy. I'm working day shift with the adults, so I'm working side by side with the GM a lot. And I think that they saw like how much I was working, how good of a worker I was, which is why I ended up getting promoted at such a young age, but we'll get to that. But I would go to work until they kicked me out. Like, if I saw the schedule and I only had like 20 hours, I'm like, I need more hours than that, you know. So, and it's fast food. Like, of course they gonna fill you in here. You can work this day, this time, you know, kind of thing. Anyway, shout out to CJ. She was my manager at the time. She always looked out for me with my hours. But anyway, so I would go to work until they kicked me out, which usually be about 6, 7, something like that. And then I would leave work and walk to X's house. He lived really close to my job. And then I would stay there until the last tart came that would take me to Jeff. And he would walk me to the tart stop. And I would catch the bus to Jeff and then go to my brother's house, okay? Now, my brother did not like that very much. He let me do it for a while until he finally said something to me and was like, where are you going? Like, you think you grown? Like, kind of thing. And you know, when you're 17 and you're about to reach that point where you're about to be 18, you're like, look, can't nobody tell me nothing. Like, you know, kind of thing. And I'm just like, what's the big deal? Like, I don't understand. What's the big deal? Like, and I don't understand. Like, you don't have to worry about feeding me. I'm one less person that's here. You know, I'm going to work. Now I understood the boyfriend part. You know, I'll kind of leave that out sometimes. But like, I'm just trying to stay out of the way. And, you know, so me and him bumped heads a lot. And I looking back on it, like, and I apologized to my brother years later because, you know, I would be very, you know, ungrateful towards him, disrespectful towards him. Like, whenever I feel like was just kind of concerned for me. And like, he had a lot on his plate too. You know, tensions were high in the house. It was just a lot, you know. And at that point, I don't really respect my own parents at that time. Like, you know, I understand you should always respect your parents, but I'm just putting you in the mindset that I was in at that time. But I didn't really respect my parents at that time because I'm like, you all put us in yet another, you know, situation that we could have avoided had we just stayed where we was. You know, I was very upset, and they would come over to his house and try to like tell me when to be in the house and all that. And I'm like, you lost that respect the minute that we lost our house, you know, kind of thing. So it was interesting. But so the fact that I didn't even respect my parents at that time, it was kind of like, what makes you think I'm listening to you? Which is wrong. Okay, it's wrong. But it was so I had a little attitude on me. At that time, I was mad at the world. But so me and him would bump heads really bad. And I was really close to my brother's wife, like really close. Like, I told her everything. I was close to my brother too. Told them everything, you know. So it really put like a strain on our relationship. And they got a wedding coming up they got to worry about. They got a house full of people. Like, it was a lot. So, all right. So, you know, there was a day that my brother pretty much was like, you know, I want to go talk to ex's parents. And, you know, I guess to get kind of clarity on how it was working, like when I was going there, why I was going there. And they were completely open to it, his family, because, you know, they looked out for me. They always made sure that I had food over there. You know, I had a good meal. Like, I always had somewhere to go. And once again, that's what made it hard leaving X, like, for people familiar with my story time, because, you know, I was very close to his family. Like, they did so much for me at a very, very crucial time in my life where I needed them. So, you know, they will always be family to me. Like, even though things didn't go the way it's planned, like, at the end of the day, they're family. But just had to make that clear. But so they ended up having a little talk, you know, figuring out what was going on, and they had an agreement that it was okay for me to come sometimes as long as they knew, you know, or whatever. But I was upset with him. Like, why didn't you just trust my word and trust what I was saying? Like, you know, so I came after the talk. I believe I came home, and me and him had this very huge blowout, and I was just like, I'm leaving. Like, I don't know what was going on in my head at the time. I'm leaving. Like, you know, and I ended up, my parents were staying at a hotel or whatever. So I ended up coming to get my stuff one day and going to stay with my parents, because I just didn't, I was over his BS, you know, which I was so stupid. Like, that was so stupid of me. Like, because mind you, like, I'm already upset at my parents and all this and how this stuff is going, and I'm about to run to that situation. And like, looking back on it, I'm like, what was I thinking? Like, I don't know, but I just remember I stormed out and I left, you know. So Don't judge me, okay? So, all right. So I end up going to live with my parents at a hotel. Now, at the time, this hotel, it was myself, my brother Jamal, my dad, my mom. Jamal ended up coming with me for some reason. My dad, my mom, my sister, and her 2 kids, okay? For whatever reason, we were all in this hotel room, okay? And hotel, it was like $200 for the week, okay? With it being my parents and my sister, you know, the adults, I was thinking, you know, they had that. But I guess because I was working to them, I needed to contribute. So I remember them telling me that they wanted me to pay $100 and they wanted, you know, they split the 100. I remember that. I will never forget that. For anyone that says that wasn't the case, that was the case. I will never forget that, okay? And I was like, no, like, it's not my fault we're in this situation. That is not fair to me. I am a minor. Like, we shouldn't even be in this situation, like, kind of thing, you know? And my dad was like, well, you know, if you don't like it, then go find somewhere else to stay, pretty much. Like, go stay with that boyfriend you have and his family. Mind you, his family had already told me, if need be, I can come stay there at any time, okay? So I was just like, okay. Like, y'all, I don't think I was there 2 days at the hotel. Like, oh my gosh, I was gone so fast. Like, as soon as it was time for that next bill to come in, I was out. But so I called up his dad and I was like, they're saying I gotta leave, you know. And he was like, I'm on my way, you know. So we made sure to get it in writing. My mom eventually, you know, actually had me emancipated, you know, and everything. Like, I was gonna be 18 in like maybe 5 months, something like that. But so they wrote a letter that night just stating that I was gonna go be in his care. I still have that letter. And they ended up going to the school board and to the courts and getting me emancipated, and everything was good, I guess, you know. So I went to live with his family, and at this point, it is the summer's almost over, and school year is about to start for my senior year. So, you know, and they were moving into a house at that time, so it was like I pretty much just moved with them into the house that they were moving into. So mind you, I'm 17, about to be 18, very young, about to live with my boyfriend that I've been dating. So it was 2011, August of 2011. So we had only been dating about 7 months, okay? And I'm about to be living with him and his family. So he has to kind of take on the burden of me. His family's taking on the burden of me. And, you know, I've moved yet again. So in this story today, it is what? I have lived in New Albany. I moved to Louisville with my sister. I moved to Jeff with my brother. I moved to the hotel with my family, my parents, and now with my boyfriend and his family. So that's 5 more moves in part 2 alone, you guys. So I'm pretty much gonna leave it right there. Everyone, I know this was a pretty lengthy story, but just know that there is still more to come with this story, because I go to live with my boyfriend and his family, and I'm gonna talk about how that went, you know, and me getting my own apartment, because my senior year in February is when I ended up getting my own apartment. So it kind of, you know, that was the conclusion, in a sense, to me being homeless, because ever since I took matters into my own hands and got my own place, I haven't been homeless since then. I've never had to worry about that again, and I never will have to worry about that again. Now, life does happen. It had to be a fire or something crazy happen, you know what I mean, for me to be in that kind of situation, because, you know, me having my bills paid and a roof over my head and food on the table is not an option. Like, I don't care if I'm down to my last penny. My bills will be paid, and I just won't be doing anything that week, you know. So and once again, because of my experiences, that affected me and how I am today. But we're gonna stop it right there for today, guys. Thank you for watching. I know this was a pretty lengthy video. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that thumbs up button for me and subscribe down below. I have more content as well that will be popping up at the end of this video. So thank you guys for watching, and until part 3, bye.